on property markets and also property cycles overall. And, people tend to forget for about 10 to 15 years, Perth not only did absolutely nothing, but a lot of Perth went backwards, right? A lot of prices went into decline, whilst, Sydney and Melbourne, everyone knows, doubled, tripled, even quadrupled in value in some cases. So from that perspective, looking at a market cycle like Perth at the moment, it's been growing for it did nothing for 10 to 15 years, and now it's really just been growing for about 3 to 4 years. Personally, I still feel like we're still very relatively early on in the overall boom phase.
You started in Brisbane buying the cheap properties in Logan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Buying
correct.
lots of them, right? So back then
Mm.
there was a there was an idea about, look, are you overexposed to Logan, such cheap property, low rental, well, high rental yield, poor
Yeah,
quality of tenant. I remember you just go when the gun hole buy a lot of them. So but look
I
now.
know.
Yeah, most of them can more than double, triple, right? So this is
Yeah.
something I'm thinking might happen in Perth as well. I don't know. Okay, and
Look, I mean, when I was very heavy in Logan, I remember, you and I, we were very active on a forum called Property Chat, and we used to go to the meetups and all
mm,
that kind of stuff. And the rhetoric on the ground, or what everyone was talking about, was, you would never grow, you're insane,
mm,
you're making a big mistake, you're buying all these duds, and this kind of feedback was from people that had 20 houses already at the time, right? I'm not going to name people, but there's some very
oh, please
prominent
don't.
members back in the day that had a very that were very established investors giving this kind of advice and
Mm,
giving this kind of feedback. And I bought back-to-back houses in Logan. I mean, Logan's a vast area. There's 70 suburbs in Logan. Actually, I don't like to pay off debt. I prefer to park cash in offset accounts.
mm,
Um, as you know, having money in your offset account does exactly the same thing as paying off the debt, but you
mm,
can access that cash whenever you want. So whenever I sell a house, if I were to sell a house, whatever money I make, I immediately chuck it in an offset
mm,
so that when the next opportunity comes along, in my worlds now, whether it's another property or a business or something like that, I'm ready to go. I've got the cash ready to go,
mm.
right? So, the day that I pay off properties is when I sell them. That's, obviously sell them at a profit, and, the loan's paid out, and whatever's left over, I get back as cash. So that's the only time. I never kind of have them fully paid off. They're just fully offset.
Mm,
So that's kind of my personal strategy or way of looking at things.
mm.
Um, and I want to make another point about selling. You never ever catch the top. You never catch the bottom either, right? If you do, you're getting lucky. So what I mean is a lot of people, like for example, some of the houses that I've sold, they've grown more, especially in Sydney, right? Do I have any regrets? Definitely not, because obviously, like I said, I pumped that money into other properties in other areas that have grown even more. So don't ever feel like uh you're you're missing out on more growth or whatever, as long as you're doing something with the profit. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they might sell a house and they fear that the house is going to keep growing in value and they're going to have a lot of regrets. To counteract that, just make sure you're investing that money that you're taking as profit. Tenanted at 720 per week. So
Wow.
based
So
on purchase,
you bought
it's a
550
yeah,
4 months ago,
yes.
right? Now the
There is
valuation.
there is a caveat. There is a caveat.
Yeah.
The house needed a bit of work.
Okay.
We ended up putting in about I think $10,000 or $15,000 worth of work.
Okay.
So it needed a little bit of a cosmetic reno because the person that lived in it previously, or the tenants that lived in it previously, was
Mm,
let's say what was not the best. So regular stuff like lots of holes, and not holes but scuffs in the walls, and you needed new floorings here and there.
mm,
It needed, I believe, a new oven and a new range hood as well.
mm. No,
A
that's
bit
all
of
very
landscaping,
minor.
little things. Yeah, 10, 15K had to put that in. But the yield, I think, what a lot of people are running into in terms of problems as well is cash flow.